Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about population collapse. As you may or may not know, that is why Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars, to start a civilization on Mars, because he believes that the world is facing a population collapse, and he thinks that we need to be a multi-planetary species before that can happen. He thinks that civilization can come to an end here on Earth, which, civilization can come to an end on Earth in many different ways. So that is not a far-fetched idea. But looking at things the way they are now, culturally mostly, you can see that we are headed for a population problem. Some countries already are in dire straits. I mean, they're coming up on it pretty quickly, and they've got to supplement their population with immigration. And this, it's not just the population collapse. You know, we've got 9 billion people or whatever, but you would think that that less people would mean more resources for everybody else, and that idea like that, right? But in the event of a population collapse, society would collapse with it. You know, we wouldn't have people to do things. There just wouldn't be enough people to maintain the existing population, because a lot of the population would be too young or too old. And that is just another form of apocalypse, especially in this time of globalism, right? Because everything's interconnected. If the European Union has a problem, it's the world's problem, right? If they have a depression or something, then it affects the entire world economy, and it spreads like a virus now, and that kind of thing. So that would happen even if just Japan, if their population collapsed and they went into economic turmoil, that would affect the entire world, because they're such big players in the world economy. Same thing with Europe or America, and any country really, any country that's big enough, economically speaking, would send the entire world into an economic turmoil at the very least. But so if this population collapse happened in several countries at once, and you know they went into some kind of depression, economic depression type of deal, the entire world would come down with it, and then you would have the population reduced further because of the economic strife. A lot of people died during the Great Depression, and you know, imagine that all over the world for an extended period of time. And you're talking about Mad Max scenario there. So population collapse is a concern. We should be concerned about it. The only question is, how fast would it happen, and how quickly would the repercussions resonate around the world? Because in a scenario like that, there's no telling how quickly it would happen, right? I mean, could it happen over a couple months? You know, the entire collapse happen, or would that thing be years or even a couple generations in the making? You know, would it happen slowly like that? So there's really no telling. And I see a lot of people that are, along with this, they're in favor of this globalist thing of population reduction. And I just don't understand that. What's the point? I get it that we want to take care of the planet and stuff, but what is the actual point in loving the planet more than humanity? I don't get that. What good would the planet Earth be spinning around the sun through space without any people on it? It would be just a meaningless ball of dirt. People here are what make Earth special. I mean, look at Mars. Mars is just spinning around there, and it doesn't do anything. Nobody gives a shit. The only thing that's really interesting about Mars, in my opinion, is that, the conspiracy theories that there may have been life there at one time. That's interesting. But without people here on Earth, then what's the damn point in having an Earth? We are the point. So getting rid of a bunch of us, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. I mean, we can with technology and stuff. Look at all the stuff we've done with technology, but we can't figure out how to get to a place and maintain a nice balance of population and all this, and health and prosperity. No, we spend our money and our time and our attention on war and pharmaceuticals and all this kind of bullshit, when we could easily just have a better place to live, have a better planet. But instead, we want to blame people, the population, not the individuals who are doing it. Nobody wants to blame them, because they're providing us with snappy, shiny shit, right? Apple's not destroying the planet because they make the iPhone. It's Joe Blow down there with his gas car. He's the one who's destroying the planet. Him and the guy down the road mowing his lawn, or shit like that. It's a crazy way to think. That it's the population that is the problem, when it's individuals in the population who are the problem. Or individual entities, corporations, governments, those kind of things are the problem, not the population at large, not in my opinion. We could probably have twice as many people on the planet, and we'd be fine if we would concentrate on that. Concentrate on cleaning up our oceans and having plenty of food. But why would you clean up the oceans when you can go to war? Why would you clean up the oceans when you could make, twice as much profit next year off of the masses? Why make life better for everyone when you can make it more convenient and make more money? So yeah, this is the kind of stuff I have a problem with. I see these as the real issues, the real problems on our planet. And population, in reality, in my thinking, the population is way down on the scale of what is wrong with this planet. It's down there with the coming ice age and killer bees and, that kind of stuff. But I don't know when, as a whole, as a species, we're going to wake up and realize that this isn't the way to do things. That we can use our technology to make life better. We don't need it to be more convenient. Convenient doesn't equal better. Convenient isn't healthier. Convenience isn't happier. Convenience isn't deeper or more meaningful or any of the shit that actually leads to a better life. Convenience is just distraction and easy. Easy is not necessarily good. Not for your overall life. Easy might be good right now for the next few seconds or the next hour, but when you look back at your whole life, easy wasn't as good as you thought it would be. and convenient and easy is not, I don't think that should be the goal of humanity. I mean, seriously? I get it. Some people want it. You know, you're 80 years old. You want shit to be convenient and easy. You've worked your whole damn life. I get that. But for the entire human race, we shouldn't be focused on easy and convenient and then want to decrease the population by whatever 75% or 90% or whatever because of all these problems, because of, lack of resources and shit. Well, quit spending our resources on making shit convenient and easy. Start spending on our resources on making things better. And that's where I'm coming from. Well, as far as that goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with the population. Honestly, I think the population's just fine. What we're doing is wrong. And that seems like just common sense to me. I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm reaching anywhere to get to these conclusions. That just seems like that's flat out visible on the table. I'm just saying, hey, pointing it out that our population is just fine. And even back, I remember reading comic books back in the 70s. I read a Silver Surfer comic book, and Silver Surfer said that the population of the Earth was 3 point something billion. And I thought about that. I was like, damn, that's a lot of people, as a little kid. I'm like, holy cow, there's that many people on the planet. What are we going to do? We're going to, that's too many people. That's how I thought as a kid. That's what I was programmed to think, because they were talking that same shit back then about overpopulation and shit. And they even did that experiment for overpopulation, that Utopia rat experiment, which I did a video on. But yeah, anyway, I was thinking about that, how many people 3 billion were. That's just way too many people on the planet, because I was brainwashed into believing that. And now, 45 years later, we've got 3 times that many people on the planet, and everybody's still got plenty of stuff. We got plenty of food. Not every single human on the planet, but that's because we're misusing all of our resources. We're throwing shit away here in the United States, which we should be, because it's poison, but we throw food away. We throw more food away here in the United States than a lot of people get to eat all year. But that's just misallocation of resources, right? That's bullshit. And it's the same thing when all kinds of stuff. How many phones have we owned? How many, we just go through shit. And not just I say the United States because that's where I live, but that's probably all of Western civilization acts pretty much the same way. And my point there is that we could do better with that kind of stuff. We could reuse and recycle and do all these things that help humanity, help the planet and humanity together, and lower the cost of these things. If resources are so valuable and so rare, then recycle them. But nobody has figured out, I guess, how to make a gazillion dollars in recycling yet. So there's not a big, Microsoft or Amazon or, any of those big companies who are recyclers, because nobody gives a shit. They can't recycle a bunch of stuff and sell it to people as the hottest new recycling thing. You know what I mean? So it's all about the money. And that is where we're going off base, I believe. I've been going off base. I've probably been off base for a long time, is putting all this intrinsic value in money. It's just we're born into this thing where the money is the most important thing on the planet. And don't get me wrong, it is important. I mean, because of the way society is structured and the way the economic system is structured, but it's been structured that way to make money important to us, not the other way around. Money isn't important to us, and that's, society fell into this kind of structure. this structure was made to make money important to us. So that we basically have to slave away at these jobs our entire lives, and give all our money to Amazon and ExxonMobil and Pfizer and all these companies. That's all we do. What do we end up with at the end of our life? Maybe a house that our kids can, pay taxes on for the rest of their lives unless they sell it. But other than that, I mean, we acquire some bullshit, trinkets and stuff, sentimental value, and then we die. Well, what's the point? What's the point in that? It's not, there is none. There is no point. Me giving all my money to Apple and Google and Android and all that stuff, me giving them all my money and working hard and giving them a bunch of money, that's not the meaning of my life. It just isn't. And don't get me wrong, I'm not up here on a pedestal saying I don't ever give them money. I give them money just like everybody else. But it's wrong. At least I see it's wrong. I eat the same poison that you're eating. And I know it's wrong. I shouldn't be. I wish I was in a better situation where I didn't have to. I wish I could get myself in a better situation where I didn't have to give Google and Apple and Amazon and all this shit, all these huge corporations money. But it's just the way society is structured, the way all these institutions and our laws are structured. It's hard to get away from it now. It's really hard. If I need something really fast, I can't get in my van and drive somewhere and buy it a lot of times. A lot of times it's just not available. That store does not exist anymore. So I order it off of Amazon. If I want to watch a movie now, I've got to, a lot of times I've got to live stream it if I can't find it on a DVD somewhere or something like that. They make it very difficult now to live to live in a free and basically on your own terms. They try once you're in and you're integrated into this society, it's very hard to extract yourself because it takes money. Yeah. So, and that's all by design. And now we're being told that it's us. We're just having too many kids. And we're destroying the planet. We're making the planet too hot. We're making the resources too rare just by having children doing what we're here to do. What the most natural thing in the world is to have children, to reproduce. And now that's being looked on as a bad thing now. We're being told that's the worst thing you can do to the planet is to have a kid. The worst thing you can do for society is to get married and have a family and to take care of your family and to teach your kids properly and raise them with common sense and teach them to question everything. That's horrible. To have a family and raise your kids to be aware and to ask questions, and this is like the most negative thing you can do. And it's bullshit. It's just bullshit. Because the powers that be don't want to do things that might lower their stock prices by 0.5% or something next quarter. They won't do anything that might do that. So that's the problem. It's not me having a kid or you having a kid or whatever and having a family, a strong nuclear family. That's not the problem. It's these huge corporations and governments regulating and taxing and robbing us and refusing to do anything to help the world and help humanity. They won't do anything except fill their pockets and boost their stock prices and increase their dividends and all this stuff. They'll get up there and they will say that shit. Oh, you know, we gotta save the planet. We're going green. We're going green. The only reason they're going green is because it's a hot button issue and people will buy that shit. If going green would hurt their stock prices, they wouldn't do it. If you went and busted into that CEO's office with a blowtorch and a hand grenade, he wouldn't go green if it would hurt them stock prices. But if he thinks that it's going to boost his stock price, oh, he's green. Oh, we got to go green, green. We love green, everything green, right? It doesn't matter what it's doing to the environment. They don't care how many birds that the windmills kill. They don't care. They don't give a shit. And that's just point blank. They don't care about the earth. They don't care about us. They don't care about anything but the stock prices and whatever. I just don't see where the fulfillment is in that line of thought. But in my honest opinion, our population is not the problem. That is not the problem. We could probably, you look at the population now, 9 billion, times 3 is 27 billion. We could probably, be 40 years from now, 27 billion, and no problem. No problem whatsoever, just like I did back in the 70s, from 3 to 9. It seems like a lot now, but when you get here, hell, that's just the way the world is. 9 billion people. No big deal. But they like to fearmonger and tell us we're the problem. We are the problem, right? Well, I'm standing up and saying we're not the problem. No. I'm convinced that we're not the problem. Having kids is not the problem. I believe that the stock market is the problem. These huge corporations that refuse to do anything to actually help the world, that's the problem. These governments that refuse to do anything to actually help the world, that's the problem. More good kids are the solution. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that, and I'll leave that link down in the description for you as well. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description for you too. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I truly appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.